You know, the day in our life as full-time travelers, even though we're retired, is much, much, much different than retirement.
Yeah, this is not just about retirement. This is about retiring as a full-time traveler, but in what it really looks like on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. But what we're going to talk about today in this video is how full-time travel in retirement is different than just retirement, and what a regular day looks like in our life.
Yeah, and so how are we qualified to talk about this? Well, we have been traveling the world for the last 5 years. My name is Steve, and this is Chris. We are Eat, Walk, Learn. And thinking back about, what our life was 5 years ago before we left Denver, Colorado. We were planning a retirement, and we were busy. I was still working. I worked until the day we actually left the city.
Yes, you did.
So it was a bit stressful, but our day-to-day life as working and having kind of stressful lives and busy lives was it seemed like it was very routine.
Yeah, I mean, we went to the grocery store, we took care of our car, we cleaned the house, we walked the dog, we checked in on family and friends, we paid bills. Steve went to work, I was still working. You can watch our other videos about what I was doing, but it was just, our social time was kind of limited because we were busy with the activities of our life, managing our life. When we started retiring, those things started to change.
We're definitely more, I think, purposeful and identifying, what did our retirement life want to look like, and we set off to travel full time. We made that like a reality. For one thing, we sold our house, we sold our cars. We had 2 cars. We sold, everything that was in it. So all we had was 2 carry-on bags and 2 backpacks. And we started living a life where we were, had to rely on walking, we had to rely on biking, we had to rely on public transportation, and it really changed our lifestyle.
So in the lifetime of full-time traveler, because we don't have a car and we have to rely on public transportation and transit and so on to get around, we build our life around the scale of walking rather than driving or, these things that we used to do in our regular life. And we have, everything is smaller in our life. We have smaller refrigerators and smaller cabinets and smaller ovens and smaller stoves and smaller cabinets.
But we're bigger, right? I mean,
we're not bigger. I'm probably proud of that, actually. And so what that means is our daily life means we've got to go get food every day because we only have a small refrigerator to put it in, or we have to go get produce because we don't have any way to store it in a cooler.
It's just a different mindset for me. Yes, physically it's different because you used to hop in the car, you go to the grocery store, you'd fill it with 5 or 6 or 10, bags or boxes or whatever stuff. You go to, Costco.
No. We used to go to Costco and get the big things.
The massive, tortilla chips and, things like. So this is definitely a different lifestyle when you're walking to the local market and you're picking up, you basically have, 1 bag of groceries each because you're just making food for the day. Things are fresher. Things, I think they taste better because you're getting locally grown stuff in the local markets.
And then and getting food is actually like the activity of the day. We have to go out and forage every day. It's not, some weekend chore that we get a whole bunch of stuff and we put them in the refrigerator. Because we're moving about, often, we're only in place for a week at a time or a couple weeks at a time. We don't buy the large shampoos and the large peanut butters and the large whatever. We have to buy our daily needs or our weekly needs every single time we move about. So
it sounds a little.
It's kind of an activity we look forward to, actually.
Yeah, and it's also because you get to know people because like right now we're a little town in Porous, Greece, and you go to the same market, you see the same people. You're there often. You get the tomatoes or whatever. So it feels more intimate and feels more like a like a community thing as opposed to a chore. I better go out and better get my shopping done. But that's just one of the aspects of it because in our day-to-day life and as full-time travelers, we are also YouTubers and we are both and we are both writers, so we enjoy our time writing, and just the travel lifestyle, we'll get into that in a second. Just the travel lifestyle is, I don't want to say it's a job, but there's definitely
it's a job, man. I'm going to say it's a job. And I think what's different is if you're retired and you're living in the patio home on the golf course in Florida, right?
Yeah.
And you have your senior life, and you go to the senior center, or you play golf every day, or you go to your favorite restaurant, your happy hour, like you have your routine. Right? And then and if you're married or you have a partner, you and your partner say, oh, let's do something different, and you plan a vacation. And so maybe you buy a package vacation, or you call the travel agent, or you're good at doing the travel planning, and you say, gosh, I'd like to go to the big cities in Europe, and you plan the logistics around the big cities, and you go for a month or a week or 3 years or whatever, or 2 years, whatever. You go, and then you come back to your house and you go back to your routine.
You have vacation, right? But this is like, and I don't want to say it's a vacation after vacation after vacation after vacation, but we are moving pretty quickly. When last year we went into 22 different countries. We've done videos about this.
Yeah.
We slept in something like 80 different beds. So this is a pretty fast moving lifestyle, which means, every night we got to figure out where we're going to sleep. What are we going to eat? How are we going to get there? And it's all brand new. It's all fresh, new stuff in a different language. So it definitely takes effort to figure out.
And we're not planning tomorrow night, usually, if everything's gone right, we're not planning tomorrow night's stay.
Right.
Like it's not every single day we're planning that night or that day or the next day. We're usually 3 to 6 months planned in advance, and we're executing a plan that's 3 to 6 months old, right? But it's different though than making a vacation, because a vacation, you go and you come back. With this type of lifestyle, you're just continually going, and so every piece of it needs to connect to the next piece. It's not like a piece can't connect, because if you make the decision to for a hotel that's a 10-minute airport, or a 10-minute taxi ride from the train station, let's say, and you want to go out to dinner now, you got a 10-minute ride, or a 10-minute ride, and a 10-minute ride. So, but if you make your hotel reservation near the train station, which is near the airport, near the restaurants, then you don't have all those 10-minute little thingies. So all those little minor details of logistics start to add up, that when you're on vacation, you're like, oh, it's no big deal, I got to take a 10-minute taxi ride. But if every single time you eat, every meal of your life, you have a 10-minute taxi ride, you're like, this is an awful waste of time and money. How can we do that better? So we spend a lot of time looking at the micro level of details when we make the macro picture of our travel.
But I want to make the point is that we're not doing this all the time.
No, we're not.
So it's an important point to make, is that you can spin your wheels doing all this traveling and minutia kind of detail that Chris is talking about, every day for your entire travel lifestyle. But we don't do that. So we typically pick one day a week, and
Tuesday.
we usually say Tuesday. Tuesday is travel day. And those are the days that we're talking about planning as part of our conversation. We're both working on our logistics, and we're kind of isolating it to a certain period of time, because we don't want it to consume us. We want to have a regular life. We don't want to be doing travel logistics.
Even though travel is
24/7.
our passion, travel is our passion, but we don't want to do our passion every day, right? Because then it just turns into work.
It's just important to just isolate that, and yes, that's one of our things that are responsibilities, part of our day-to-day routine. But it's not all consuming.
And we share the workload, so we kind of have 2 different styles of how we do planning. One style is we decide, okay, we want to go to Europe, we want to go to these 6 cities, and then maybe I'll work on the transportation end and Steve will work on the accommodation end, or vice versa. We switch that off and on all the time. I tend to do more of the transportation booking, and Steve does more of the accommodation booking, but we go back and forth, right?
Yeah.
The other style is maybe we'll have a week time between 2 different places, and the week's kind of floating and we don't quite know what to do with it. And maybe one of us will get an idea about what we want to do in that week, and we'll just own the week. I'll say to Steve, you know what, I'm going to plan that week. I'll let you know what we're doing later, or I'll say, hey, we're going to go to a yoga retreat, and then he says, okay, and that's a great idea, and then I just go off and plan everything from the flight to the taxi ride to the accommodation to the meals to whatever. Or he might do that in reverse. So we kind of have these 2 different styles that work nicely together. Sometimes one of us just gets exhausted, and we're like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I just need a break. Can you take care of it? Or let's just take a break for a little while. And often there'll be periods of time, like we'll be planned out, but then we'll want to do something like for example, right now we're in the process of planning our 2026, and we're stuck on August. And we can't figure out what to do in August, because we have some things that are happening in July and some things that are happening in September. But until those things kind of get resolved with dates and activities with people, we can't plan August. So we just rather than cogitate and make all these different iterations and plans A, B, C, D, E, and F, we've just said, you know what, we're not going to work on that right now. We'll wait for the July and the September thing to resolve themselves before we focus on August.
We are talking about what does our day-to-day, nomad full-time travel life look like. And we actually have a book.
Yes, we do. Another book in the series. So if hopefully you got our 50 Hikes, 50 States book, and then you picked up our 2 carry-ons and a plan book. So that's before you launch, when you launch, and now this is the next book in the series is called The Nomad Life, Living as Full-Time Travelers. Right. And this book, out in its 2nd edition, coming out in about a week or so, it's all about our daily life and all the things we did and do from when we launched to about the 4th year of our travel. It's different stories and pet sitting, things that happen and lessons learned and when it went wrong and when it went right. Exactly. And not all pet sitting, I mean, just our life is nomad life. So if you want to get the neat, like really, really happens, we've got I think 30 different chapters about all the different things that have happened in our nomad life. And it also includes all these fantastic tips that we have picked up along the way about how to make nomad life move a little bit more smoothly.
So it's a new edition
right.
that's coming out very shortly.
Right.
You can pre-order that, and it's got a lot of new content in it. I know Chris was working hard on that. That I did not write that. She's the book writer. Up till now. I'm getting
You're working on it.
into that a little bit. Which actually gets us into our next topic of our nomad life is that we both have our own creative pursuits, and we have things that we like to work on individually, things we like to work on together. And this is, I think, really important for couples especially to be able to have your downtime, because we're together. I love you, honey. We are together all the time, always doing things together. How do you do that in sign language?
24/7? Something? I don't know. Sorry, sis. I didn't get 24 down. Anyways, for my deaf friends, 24/7.
But we do have quiet time. We have time where we're doing our own individual projects. We'll go for our walks around the neighborhood individually, things that we're not doing together. And we definitely set aside time we make that as a commitment to each other, to respect each other's time and expect each other's projects.
Yeah, probably about 2 hours every morning. You get up, you have your cup of coffee, you do your writing. I get up a little bit later. I exercise. We both will go for a walk. We don't generally walk together on our walks because we have our own podcast or music we want to listen to. And then we kind of come together at about 11 o'clock and say, okay, what do you want to do today, honey? Or we might have talked about the night before that at 11 o'clock we're going to go on a field trip, or we're going to go meet friends, or we're going to go for a hike or something together.
We definitely have plans. I mean, we'll talk about the variety. So we've talked a little bit about the downtime and then doing things individually and kind of just we're in town, we're going grocery shopping or whatever, kind of regular life as a full-time traveler who doesn't have a car and doesn't own a house, kind of thing. And that's important to have those things because we're not like on vacation all the time. We're not constantly doing, waterfalls and climbing mountains and doing, zip lining.
But we do that. I mean, we go to the cathedrals and the centros and the museums and all the things you do on vacation. Exactly. We do that too.
We're doing all that too, and that's important. In that, for us, is this lifestyle of full-time travel is about following the good weather and doing those incredible, bucket list kinds of things. Other people might, we try not to call it a bucket list kind of thing, but things that really get me excited and get me motivated and really intentional traveling. Like, wow, I can't believe we're doing this right now.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. This is an amazing experience.
I mean, just yesterday, we went on this amazing hike through the lemon groves here in Poros. The lemon groves here in this area of Greece used to be the largest exporter of lemons in Greece. And there's all these groves that are left over. Long story short, the groves have now gone dormant. Well, not dormant because they're still actively producing fruit, but they're not being harvested.
And a lot of it has been turned into olive groves because
that's
turned out to be a better use of the space for olive production.
But anyway, we went hiking up through the lemon groves and got to pick the lemons, and it was just beautiful, just on these ancient trails through the Peloponnese of of Greece,
Yeah,
and just a fantastic day.
And we also have the opportunity to do things spontaneously. So just, last weekend we, rented a car for 5 days and we went on a road trip up through the Peloponnese. We went out to Corfu Island, which is a beautiful island off the coast of Greece. And we also, we went to the ancient Corinth,
Yep.
and saw some, ancient temples and ancient ruins.
And some caves.
And we went to, like, so there were the Parama Caves, and I know I'm going to say this wrong. Ionina. I think.
We really try hard to get things correct. So,
but cool things. I mean, things like that we're looking for. We're purposely looking for these things that are like, oh my God, this is amazing. I am just having such a great time. This is such a fun place.
I think the point we're trying to make is if you lived in Florida, and the reason we pick on Florida because that's where we met. So we're picking on Floridians because we picked it because that's where we met. But I mean, if you're living in Florida and you're living in Tampa and you're on the golf course, so you're going out to the beach every day or whatever. And then as a retiree, you might do a road trip to Miami, or you might take a flight up to New York or something, or maybe even come over to Europe. What's different is that those activities that you might do as a retiree as an occasional thing or as a vacation thing or a special treat, they're just our everyday life. Even though, one day we're climbing to the top of Patagonia and the next day we're sleeping in and watching Netflix, but everything is different, and everything every day is new. Even if right now we've stayed for 3 months in Greece, and so things have gotten a little bit routine, but it's not normal for us to stay 3 months someplace. Usually we're moving around quicker. You can watch other videos about why we stayed here for 3 months, but everything is new, everything is different. It keeps us young, it keeps our brains activated, it keeps us inspired, it keeps us from being bored. We don't have to do crosswords just to be engaged with our brains, because figuring out the logistics and trying to get to different places and coming up with activities to do every day, that's engaging our brain.
Yeah, this is an amazing lifestyle to stay sharp, to stay focused, and it's the kind of thing where I feel more alive. And people keep saying, you're living your best life.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say. Is like, yeah, I think I am. This is an amazing, stimulating opportunity and lifestyle that has always got us on our toes, always thinking, always staying active.
Right, and we don't need we don't need a vacation to have something new. It's just we don't get bored. Everything is new. It's keeping us young. It's mentally keeping us young. It's physically keeping us young. We're taking Greek dance classes. We're taking Greek language lessons. I mean, we've taken salsa dance classes around the world. We've taken other language classes. So it's just, I don't know really how else to put this except that every day is different and nothing is routine.
Nothing is routine.
And that's why we're taking 3 months off, because we needed a break. Honestly, we were kind of tired of that too.
Yeah. And another plug for the book, Good and the Bad, real life experience as full-time travelers. You can go ahead and you can go to Amazon and pre-order that.
Yeah.
The new edition. You're going to love it because it's got lots of great stories.
Yeah. So if you had our first edition, we left off and arriving in Australia on our first edition and going to New Year's Eve for the fireworks in Australia. We pick up from there and continue around the world, and the story continues with vignettes from the different spots as we made our way back to the U.S. and then back to Europe, and many, many, many thousands of miles with stories to be told. So I hope you will jump in and catch up with us if you left off with us in Sydney, Australia. Final reflection? I don't know. Final reflection for me is this is what full-time travel really looks like. And if you want a daily dose of something different, full-time travel is for you. So my question for you is, if you are thinking about a lifetime of full-time travel, what's your biggest obstacle? What's the one thing that is keeping you from leaving? Or what's the one thing you're really worried about? Go ahead and ask your question, and maybe we'll turn that into a video next time.